sing hello.
I like the fact that she screams out hello grandly. Welcome back to the Literati. We're talking about with Selah and Sassafras, Cypress, and Indigo, or
At
Makeda.
the Secret Word Cafe.
At the Secret Word. Come down to 2016 Dowling. Do yourself a favor. Come down for a poetry night. Have a glass of wine. Have some of the pastries. Occasionally there's a chef, and I've heard he's wonderful, or the food is great.
Wonderful.
So make sure you do yourself a favor. You might catch us here on a night, and she might be singing, which would be a real treat. And thank you again, Nefertari Queen Raven, for allowing us to use your wonderful venue so that we can help people to be literary geniuses.
Or at least talk about some books.
Yeah, that much.
So we were talking about Cypress and Leroy, which I found ironic because you got Cypress, who really was not looking to be booed up.
No.
Who was booed up, got a heartbroken by a woman,
Adrena.
and then Adrena, and then backdoor and found her husband.
She found her husband.
She found her husband.
And it was a friend. It was somebody that she'd known, but not like she hadn't really given. Like you said, she wasn't looking for him. But he was familiar enough.
He was familiar enough, but also, like I always said, that would be the one that wouldn't take my stuff.
Oh yeah, because he didn't brook her nonsense.
No,
but he did it with love and respect.
Right.
But he didn't break. He didn't break.
Like
her
whereas with Mitch, you have a person who tried to. Yeah, he gave her some good advice.
Right.
But the advice wasn't. He didn't say it in a way that built her up. He said it to tear her down.
Right.
Whereas with Leroy, he was like, "Look, baby, we trying to build something here,
this
and
is me. You doing this together.
Look here, I'm over here, baby, I'm over these seas, taking these chances.
Right.
You know, it's very, yeah, I had a little white moment. So, you know, it was that kind of thing. And from there, the most untraditional one ended up in a very traditional relationship.
Role, exactly. She ended up in this, and she still made it, though. This is the thing about Cypress. She still made it her own thing. It's almost as if she reinvented the notion of marriage to make it fit Cypress, and to make it fit actually Cypress and Leroy.
Cypress and Leroy. They were. I felt like in the end, even though we don't get an epilogue, we don't know if they live happily ever after. It's just in the end, I felt like they were a powerful unit.
Right.
They were on the same page and they wanted the same things.
And the idea of what companionship should be, they embodied it. He allowed her to grow in her work. She allowed him to grow in his work. And when you juxtapose that with the things that ended up happening with Sassafras ends the book basically giving birth to Mitch's baby, because she did go back to him. They ended up going on a commune together, and Sassafras did her best to exorcise the spirit of Mitch away from her, but she still had that little thing that says I can't exactly let go until she gets pregnant, and Mitch runs off. He runs off the commune. He's done. He's like, okay, she served her purpose. One of the things that we talked about prior was initially you didn't like Sassafras's ending.
I did.
Okay, explain.
I felt like she bartered. I felt like she bartered, and no, things don't always work out the way we think they should. But I felt like even with the words that the midwife gave her when she was giving birth, I felt like she had forfeited her destiny, or forfeited a greater end. And I can't think of it any other kind of way. It's almost like she was endowed with this ability to be a person that was a matriarch, or a carrier of the past. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's like she had this special purpose that she bypassed
through childbirth.
Not even through childbirth, just through her choices with Mitch. Now, not saying that she can't come back to it, because I still feel like what's for you is for you, and one way or the other, you're going to end up making it happen, even if it's, the way you die that causes it to happen. What's for you is for you, and it's gonna come to pass because that's your purpose.
Right.
So I still felt like there was hope for her, but I was very sad because I'm trying to remember what memory that dredged up for me, and it made me think about this woman I talked to once who was like a pregnancy counselor, and no, I was not pregnant. Okay, let's clear that up.
Our mommies watch this show.
Yeah, I have never been pregnant.
Not even a scare.
Okay, not even a scare. Yeah, I'm a virgin. Yeah, me. Anyway, I'm not telling that lie.
No comment.
Now, okay. She said, I remember this lady, she told me she had this dream. And in this dream, there were all these children. And she had been praying to have a child. And God told her, and in the dream, she said she felt like God told her, these are your children.
Mm.
And she's like, no, I want a child.
Mm.
He's like, well, you can either have them or this child.
Or the one that you want.
Yeah.
The one that you think you want.
Yeah, and she's like, I want to have a baby. And she felt like, even though I felt like even as a pregnancy counselor, she still was going to end up with those kids that she saw in her dream. She felt like by having that child, she forfeited all these kids that she was to take care of. You know, if she didn't have a child.
And so you feel like Sassafras, now that I've gotten accustomed to saying the right name.
Right.
You feel like Sassafras has put on hold her
possibly
goals? Well, see, I take it from a different tack, and it might just be the difference between the fact that I am a mother and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I take it from a different tack. Somebody has to carry on those things. You know, even though it's not explicitly said, you know that Sassafras is going to teach that child weaving, and she's going to teach that child. Hopefully she's going to help her.
She's still going to transfer that history.
She's going to transfer the history, but remember that her character was solely that of a nurturer. Sassafras needed somebody to pour into, and so that's how we differ. I think each character, Indigo, Sassafras, and Cypress, all came to the successful end, their end goal. I think they all reached the end goal that they were supposed to reach for the nourishment of who they are, for the full circleness of who they are. Cypress, this independent, very, she was almost rigid in her free spiritedness, if that makes sense.
Right, because sometimes your freedom can become binding.
Right.
Because you become bound to this idea of freedom.
And that
in itself traps you.
And an amount of selfishness. She had to forego selfishness, and the first time she tried to do it, she failed miserably as far as being, giving herself to somebody who it was an extension of what her selfishness was anyway. Because why would you try to get with somebody who's already with somebody? But that's neither here nor there.
But I felt like that was like a passageway.
Yeah, it was a bridge. We built bridges.
Yeah, we build bridges.
So, but for Sassafras, her end goal was to have somebody to pour those talents out onto. And so she got to go home and do that. I think she kind of is going to be, for that next generation, the mother. She's going to have that same thing.
Matriarch.
She's going to be that matriarch. She's going to be that narrator at the end of the day that kind of ties this family together and keeps them together. That home base. And that was her goal. That's what she wanted. She wanted a home. She made her home nice and cozy for Mitch because that's what her role was. Indigo ends up being a midwife and basically not a conjure woman so much as somebody, just a practitioner of herbal remedies and things like that. She went to study with her Aunt Hayden and learned how to heal. That speaks to her spirit.
But that was what she was
from the beginning.
From the beginning, she was a healer.
I agree with that. From
the beginning.
And Cypress ends up with the one love that she didn't think she was looking for.
And she found it.
You're right.
She found it. I love this book so much because it is that journey from being a young woman to being from being a young girl to being a teenager to being in your 20s. Bless your 20s. The 20s, bless the 20s. The 20s are a blessing. And then coming into that other side of the 20s where you're heading into I feel like your real life. your your
It's your balance.
yeah,
I think when you
when you
hit those
swing back,
mid-30s,
when you swing back
yeah,
the other way, when the
yeah.
pendulum begins to swing back the other way, and you're you're more conscious about your decisions, and
And
you're
you start to look at life as both, depending on what you've done with your life up to that point. You start to look at your that life as both um, striving towards your goals, but at the same time rearranging them. I don't know about anybody else. I know when I hit my 30s, my goals rearranged themselves. My focus became different, and so it invited different energies into me.
and your what was once a priority
Yeah,
no longer is so,
I agree
and
wholeheartedly.
you begin to see the value, the real value of your talents and your time.
And invest it wisely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when you that is the ultimate becoming your own complete person.
Right, right.
Hopefully, now some people don't get that until their 40s or 50s or 60s. You know, you get it when you
But
get it.
each person's journey is just like we got sassafras 5% indigo. Each person's journey is different,
I agree.
and I loved seeing that in this book. In the end, these women were family,
Yes,
and they looked out for each other, they took care of each other, and that was worth it. That made the journey to the crown worth it. So
that was actually pretty. We didn't cry or anything. That was awesome.
yeah,
As close as this book is to me, we want you guys to go ahead and read. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at the Literati.
Go ahead and if you have any questions, anything that we talked about that you wanted to discuss, let's get down on it. Let's talk about it together.
Yes,
We'd love that.
we
Love
like
that.
discussion. Obviously, we like to talk.
So we'll see you next time on the Literati. Thank you for joining us for Sassafras, Cypress, and Indigo, and stay tuned for our next book.
We'll see you soon.